look very, very favorably about full pardons. If I decide to run and if I win, I will be looking very, very strongly about pardons.
Amen.
Full pardons.
Well deserved.
I think that's probably going to be the best, because even if they go for 2 months or 6 months, I mean, they have sentences that go a lot longer than that.
Years and
years. But we'll be looking very, very seriously at full pardons, because we can't let that happen. What's happened here, and I mean full pardons with an apology.
I mean, full pardons with an apology. Former President, let me say that again. Former President Donald Trump is talking about giving pardons. He's not the president. No, he likes to act like it many times. He likes to also act like he's a businessman. That didn't work out either. But he does have plans to pardon people, specifically folks that participated in the January 6th insurrection at his command. Let's get into one of those people that he's looking to pardon at some point in the future, even though he's not running for president at this point, and he definitely is not president, despite what he's saying on Truth Social all the time. So let's talk about this one particular culprit who was actually convicted. Former New York Police Department officer Thomas Webster, who unsuccessfully tried to convince a Washington, D.C. jury, now check this out, that he was merely acting in self-defense against a police officer who he assaulted on January 6th. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison on Thursday. This is the longest sentence of any January 6th defendant so far. Yes, you heard it right. Self-defense is what he said. In videos played during his trial, the 56-year-old former Marine can be seen swinging a metal flagpole at DC officer Noah Rathbun before crossing police barriers at the US Capitol and tackling him, choking him with the officer's chin strap. And in May, Webster was found guilty on all 6 charges that he faced, 5 of which were felonies. There's a picture of him in self-defense against a police officer. When's the last time you heard conservatives talk about how someone gets shot in their car as soon as a police officer walks up to them, or maybe in their home in the middle of the night as they're executing raids on their homes, that they were acting in self-defense when they got up? Anyways, let's watch more about what he actually did in the self-defense theory he had going. Let's just jump back to Donald Trump really fast, because after you saw that violence, after you saw that self-defense that was going on there, Trump did not stop at talking about pardons for people like this. Yes, he's talking about folks like what we just saw. He's also talking about what he's doing for them financially. I'm not sure how true that is, but he still said it anyway.
I met with, and I'm financially supporting people that are incredible. And they were in my office actually 2 days ago. It's very much on my mind. It's a disgrace what they've done to them. What they've done to these people, it's disgraceful. And I'm looking at it very carefully. I've studied it. I study cases, and contributions should be made. We have to do that because, they have some good lawyers. But even the good lawyers, the
can't
judges,
beat fraudulent judges.
You get before,
Amen.
Yeah, you get some of these judges that are so nasty and so angry, mean.
Notice something there. Donald Trump, and apparently this woman who's very excited that she has to be dancing around saying amen every 5 seconds. Amen, Mr. Trump. His basis for law and order from the Law and Order Party is they've got good attorneys. Not they're within the law, not this other person was not within the law, not the way the system works comes to these conclusions based on the law. It's they've got good attorneys. That's a big window. That's a big illustration of his mindset when it comes to law and order. They've got good attorneys, so I got to find a way around that. Not I have to stay within the law because I'm a law-abiding citizen of the greatest nation in the world. No, it's actually we got to make sure we skirt the law. It's the basis for his entire judicial approach, which one person pointed out on Twitter when it comes to these things about how he's going to offer this support. Last thing here, David Rothkamp points out, so if you're meeting with seditionists and giving them money and promising them pardons, which could be seen as obstruction of justice and support for further anti-government violence, isn't that sedition? What say you, Cenk Uygur?
Yeah, so classic Trump implicating himself in a crime, just saying it on national media. So look, one of the things that they easily could do with Trump, I don't know if they'll have the courage to do, prosecutors, is try him for inciting sedition, right? And that's a very hard thing to prove overall. and it's it's made even harder when you are trying to prosecute a former president for that, right? Except when the former president says, "Oh, I paid for it, and I'm paying for the defense of all the seditionists, including the ones who are being convicted as we speak of that crime and of other crimes. I'm financially supporting them, and by the way, I'm encouraging them so much that if I get back into power, I'll just let them go. I'll pull a Bane and say, Gotham is yours. Do with it as you will." I mean, what kind of that's what Bane does. He just says things out in public, all of his different crimes, right? So this guy's just nuts. I can't believe he's admitting things. And partly the fact that he's never been held accountable, that he's been a spoiled little brat his whole life, and the Democrats never held him accountable, and no prosecutors ever held him accountable, because they're all so afraid of him, afraid of this paper tiger. It's just maddening. That's why he feels that he can go on Wendy Jablowski's show and tell everybody, yeah, I did it, and I'm gonna do it even worse if you reelect me. Okay, and so is her last name really Jablowski? No, I made that up because I've never heard of her. So I'm gonna say one other random thing, but it's interesting. Look at how Trump and the Republicans support their media. They'll go, Trump was on Real America's Voice or something. I never even heard of that. This Wendy lady is the first time I've ever seen her, and I'm in media. What is she, a competitor? I don't know, I've never heard of her, right? Welcome to America's Basement with Donald Trump, the president, former president, calling it. But I'm saying it in a positive way. He's like, can you imagine Biden or Obama, former president, going on like any online show? Like, unless like the person promises them, I beg, I swear I'll kiss your ass, I swear it, right? But to go on this regularly, this randomly, like, tiny little shows, like what? It'd be like Obama going on Jimmy Dore's show, or actually it'd be like Trump going on Jimmy Dore's show. Now that I say it, maybe Jimmy, give it a shot.
Yeah, you're right. Biden will barely talk to even like mainstream media. He barely gives interviews off the cuff. Trump's just going on any podcast called Guns, God, and Gary. Like any person who contacts his media team gets an interview. He was on a podcast called Full Send, which they're just a group of frat boy YouTubers, where he talked about how the YMCA is the gay national anthem. He's really covering all of his bases across his fandom. It's just ridiculous. But is Trump, if he was reelected, gonna pardon these people? I don't know, probably. Wouldn't surprise me at all. He pardoned so many people, Republican mega donors, people connected with his campaign, just willing to pardon anybody. So it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think he'll get the opportunity to do it. I hope he doesn't get the opportunity to do it, but if he does, I'm sure he will. Is it sedition? Yeah, absolutely. And it'll probably just go on the long list of crimes he committed before he was president, during his presidency, and now after he was president. And it won't change the minds of his supporters. He won't care, they won't care, the right-wing media won't care. They'll just continue to support him because they do have this strong mutual support of right-wing candidates, politicians, right-wing media. They do have this strong network in a way that the Democrats they sort of ignore left-wing media that's willing to give them a platform if they're willing to have a conversation. And I do think that's something the Republicans do well. Of course, they do it in a ridiculous way, but I think the Democrats could do better at that.
Donald Trump does a whole lot of talking, Cenk. He does so much talking and incriminating himself, as you're saying. But the thing is I'm wondering what, he pays attention to what the response is. We know that he pays attention to any news reports. We know he pays attention to what politicians, pundits, and anyone says about him because he's trying to get some kind of, he's worried about how he looks. So when you see how things continue to go badly for you, I know he's an egomaniac. I know he never thinks anything is his fault. But who's left to blame, bro? You've got a former OA and anchor as one of your defense attorneys who screwed you over, yes, in that whole search warrant as she signed off saying, yeah, that's everything, and then went on TV stumbling and bumbling every opportunity she got. So at some point, don't you go, yeah, everyone that surrounded me, that gave their life to me is screwed, and everyone else who doesn't know what they're doing that I continue to surround myself with is screwing me. Maybe it's me. Like, who's left to blame? There's no one left.
Yeah. I'm gonna say one last quick thing. The reality is actually, and everybody that is on the inside, right wing or not, says the same thing about Trump. He's actually scared to death of the courthouse, right? And that's why the prosecutors are maddening. Someone have the courage to prosecute him for obvious crimes he's admitting on tape, please. Why is he afraid of the courthouse? Because if you're outside of the courthouse, lying has no implication, no consequence. You just lie all day long, and that's what he does. And he's a pathological liar. He couldn't help himself, even if you put him on the stand. But if you put him on the stand and he lies, or he's in a trial and he lies, that actually does have consequences. And that brings me back to what JR mentioned about the guy who got put away today. He said, no, I didn't attack the cop. I was trying to help the cop. And then prosecutors rolled the tape of him beating the crap out of the cop, and he got 10 years. That's called consequences. And that's what Trump's afraid of. Someone, please give it to him.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.